about 15 to 7. And I had every intention of coming to you all live tonight to do the craft, and I'm having some issues um, creating a specific homemade item that I'm going to need for the craft that I'm going to be making. So I'm kind of taking care of that issue, but I'm also having some issues getting my stupid phone to charge. So we may have to switch to my iPad for the next craft venture, which will be a gnome. We actually do have a plumbing company that has requested a personalized gnome, and that will be the gnome that I will be working on. Now, I'm trying to get specific things that I have to make by hand, some specific tools, and potentially making a logo that looks like their logo for his clothing. I've got to get some of that stuff done because I want this to be a very cute item that they keep for a long, long time. So I am being slowed down by creating those specific items from hand. And then also I'm being slowed down because my phone does not want to charge, so I'm on my iPad. But I just had to come on here because as I was allowing my YouTube to kind of scroll through the recommended that were coming on, and I was listening to it as I was digging through my craft room, I saw the most atrocious sights. Hey, Lottie Doll. I saw the most atrocious sight. It popped up on my YouTube. All of a sudden, I'm in my craft room, and all of a sudden, I hear just a gruff male voice talking about women in a horrible manner, and talking about how unbecoming and sorry a specific woman is, and why there are no intimate relations between her and her husband. I'm like, where has my YouTube gone? What in the crap did I stumble upon? And so I walk out of my craft room into my living room, and on my TV is somebody identified as Blood Money Benny Keys. Now, number one, the name obviously goes with the attitude. Number two, I believe this is the same person that I hear about a lot over YouTube. And number three, just let me tell you, I was not impressed by somebody who claims to be an adult and who is exhibiting this behavior. On top of that, I was even less impressed when I found out this is someone who is claiming to be an adult that is trying to do something for the Summer Wells issue. I don't know what he's trying to do besides tank it and make every adult that is trying to help this cause look like an absolute piece of crap. Um, but what I witnessed on my YouTube about 3 minutes ago before I logged in was the most juvenile expression of adult behavior I've ever seen in my entire life. And everybody is like, oh, don't talk about it because he's mean. Really? Because he just looks slightly agitated and confused from where I'm sitting. Because I need for him to understand this. Sir, whoever you are, can you pause? Can you empty the brake fluid cleaner out of your brain for 5 seconds long enough to listen to me and what I'm fixing to tell you? Because when you get tangled up in the search for a 5 year old missing child, and you state that you have good intentions, but every behavior we see from you basically is the behavior you would see from a very poorly trained Malinois mix Rhodesian Ridgeback bad attitude bitch of a dog, you're not helping anyone's cause. You're not helping anyone's cause. You're saying, oh, let me take this precious little angel who has been done wrong. Let me hijack everyone's emotions that are tied to this. And then let me run rampant with them through every fence in every county and every state until I have made everyone, everyone on the planet understand just how much of a jackass I am. Because it seems to me the one thing you want to do is not find Summer Wells, not bring recognition to her cause. It seems you want to buddy up with her parents, create some kind of tumultuous little affair going on there, and then badmouth anybody that goes, excuse me, I thought we were looking for a missing child. Is anybody else having a problem with, like, when you type in Summer Wells because you want an update on what's going on? All you're updated on is the drama of some really self conceited people's lives that are apparently way worse than I could possibly envision if this is what they call entertainment. Now, granted, I don't pay a lot of attention to creators. And had I been with my phone in my hand and he said two words, I would have flipped it and just went on. But because I was in another room and it was playing on my TV, I listened to more than I would have normally listened to. Is this what has been going on for months in this little society online? Is this what passes for adulthood? And is this what passes for um, positive work toward finding a missing child? I mean, you can't even find good behavior. How do you think you're going to find a missing child? I was literally blown back. Not only that, then you start watching the live chat of people coming in. So apparently, this guy is like a convicted felon or an ex-con or something other, and he's been like staying at the Wells home. Well, Mr. Wells is actively on supervision, so that's a violation of his supervision right there. So do you understand that you're compounding the problems that this family is dealing with, or does that matter? Probably not. I mean, if a grown man can get on the internet and say the things he's saying about somebody else's wife or a female in general, then for me to try to call out any decency is, I mean, I might as well ask him to wiggle his nose and do a magic trick. I mean, I was so taken aback by the behavior. And all I could think of, and y'all, I may cry, all I could think of, and this makes, I only cry when I get mad, so y'all know I'm mad right now. All I could think of was there's a little 5-year-old girl somewhere on earth or in heaven who has probably only ever seen the worst behavior out of the adults in her life. And now these people that keep lining up to say they're going to become her savior and find her and do good things behave like this. Is this all this little girl has ever seen? Is it all that she's ever known? And if she is no longer with us in death, is this all the energy that's ever going to go toward her? And you look at grown adults and you say, can you stay focused on the cause? If you don't have anything positive to add, can you just toss up a prayer? If you can't financially support something, which y'all don't give your money to just anybody, make sure it goes through a 501c3 and you get paperwork on it. Don't be hoodooed. Do everything the right way. But if you don't have these things to give, can you not? Can you at least not stay positive? Can you just stay positive and not turn what is labeled as a discussion about a missing 5-year-old girl into a horror comment fest? Because that is just sick. It's sick to drag people in emotionally because they think you're going to tell them something about this case or give them an update or do something positive, and then all you do is create drama and negativity and twist. And you enjoy it. I've worked with the worst people in the world. I've worked with convicts of every level. I've supervised murderers. I can identify when people are emotionally getting their jollies off on this behavior. And that was what was happening. And what was even more upsetting was that there was a ton of people in the chat that were rooting this person on. I don't understand when adults stopped understanding what accountability was. But you don't get away with anything in this life. Karma circles back, and if it misses you the first time, it circles back again. And I don't for 5 seconds believe that anyone playing this little emotional charade game, playing this little, I'm going to use this pure and innocent little 5-year-old girl, and I'm going to milk millions financially and emotionally, and I'm going to create this horrible character, and I'm going to take everyone to the cleaners, and I'm going to turn this all upside down, and I'm going to run this show, and it's a 5-year-old kid. And your first thought was to come in and find a way to take hostages to control the situation so you can milk the missing of a 5-year-old child. And then on top of that, it's a 5-year-old missing female. And we all have grave concerns about why she is missing. And then you, in your blatant stupidity, get up there and say horrible things about women. Well, guess what? While you're saying those horrible things about women, I'm hoping at least 10% of your audience is waking up. Because you very much sound like one of the men that would thieve a female and do those horrible things. When you say words like that and you call female women words like that, and you say that they're only useful for certain things, and that their husbands will no longer touch them because of this, that, and the other, you tell us that your mind lives in that realm a whole lot more than we should be comfortable with, and you are the white knight coming in to save this missing 5-year-old child who was potentially sex trafficked. I'm sorry, you don't even know how to be polite to a grown woman. And these people are running up and down the roads in this nation, getting $5 and $10 and $15 and $20 donations from strangers who only listen to 5 minutes of them and catch them on a good 5 minutes. They don't listen to 20, 30 minutes and realize just how despotic they are. And they're reaping the good hearts out there to keep their little drama game going, and to keep trying to hurt people, and to keep trying to get the power trifecta on YouTube to bring in the super chats. And if anyone would tell them the truth, what they need to hear is that you are degrading yourself to such a level that by the time you wake up and figure out how wrong what you're doing is, there will be no coming back from this. You will have to sit and steep in the stank you created around your own self for your behavior. And you're going to have to wonder when you gave yourself license to misuse a missing child status to feed your ego and act like an absolute asshole. And then everybody's like, well, they've been threatening everybody. They've been doing what? This is just a computer program. The real world still exists, and real world laws still exist. This is not a place you go where you can do anything and you're not held accountable. People need to wake up. People need to wake up. This nation is ruled by laws, and you still have to obey the laws. And when you go onto YouTube, the laws don't just flip away, they're still there. So why am I seeing adults running amok all over this nation, wanting to cause fist fights, getting into verbal altercations, that are on public property where God knows whose family and children have to hear it, bouncing off the trees and the hollers back and forth? And so once I heard this man's mouth, I clicked on a couple of links that were related to that because people were talking about him. And they're either like, oh yeah, they're doing so much, they're getting out there and they're finding they're doing what? They're creating another giant mess for law enforcement to have to clean up. They're definitely creating an emotional mess with their peers because apparently there's a lot of he said, she said, and animosity going back and forth. That sounds like third grade garbage, if you ask me. And then apparently the biggest oopsie is apparently there's missing money or money's misallocated or yeah, I'm going to say this once, people. I haven't monetized my channel. I will never monetize my channel. But when people start asking you to change your emotion or to give them money, you need to back away slowly and pay a lot of attention. Because when people start asking for those things, they either want submission, control, or they're desperate. And all of those are negative. Fill those people out. Make sure that if you give money, it's to a 501c3 with the appropriate paperwork. If somebody's on YouTube and they're saying, I don't have a home, I don't have a place to live, y'all need to send me money so I don't get kicked out, then why do you have $1,000 phone in your hand? Why are you paying $100 internet fee? And why are you spending 8 hours a day streaming when you should be looking for a job? Now, I'm sorry. I'm going to be completely point blank real with people. Because when you come to me and you ask me for what I barely can get earned to pay my bills, I'm going to put you through a ringer of questions because I want to know why you deserve my money more than I do. And if you can't answer those questions appropriately, I ain't giving you my money. But there's been a lot of stuff going on YouTube here lately with grown people that should know better. You don't let people control your emotions, you don't let people control your money. And if they can't use nice words and talk to you like you're a person, you shouldn't be having conversations with them. You should just separate and walk the other way. We've got a lot of people that keep jumping into the fire because it's getting the notoriety, clicks, views, and then they're playing the woe poor is me. Send me $5. This is taking a toll on me and my family, and I've had to go to the counselor 4 extra times this month, which means I'm going to be short of my vehicle payment, my home payment. Please send me money. No, honey, line your life out and get your butt together. Stop putting your energy where it siphons away from you. I don't understand. Like, there are women going, I've had such a horrible experience with this and I just feel like everyone hates me. Well, you've spent 8 hours a day for the last month and a half on this stupid platform rehashing an emotional issue and bringing in other emotions and other issues that should never be discussed on a platform like this. And you've not left your home, you've not done anything positive, and you've certainly not tried to address anything positive in your lives, and you wonder why you're stuck in the stink. It's because you get up every morning and you firmly sit yourself there. Now, some people may feel sorry for you. I don't, because I know that you can get up and you can change, and that every bit of control to change that lies within you. You don't need anything from anyone else. You just have to get up one day and go, you know something, that didn't work for the last 30 days, so today I'm going to try something new. Bada bing, bada boom. I bet you the day will change for you. But this platform should not be a place to go on to attack, manipulate, financially fleece, emotionally fleece, create these little warmongering parties. They have it's like they've made the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and they get together every day to talk about how the He-Mans hate the women, but they never do anything. It's like they have these big ideas of being this big, powerful group of people that go out and rectify things, and all they do is wreck things. You forgot the last part of the word. And then for 5 days, because I am interested in the Summer Wells case and want to know if anything comes up attached to the case, because I have stuff to ping and tell me when this is a subject on videos. I have to filter through so much garbage to find anything positive. And I know you guys are going through it too. And then people are like, don't say anything. They're really mean. They're really mean on YouTube. You mean they talk really loud? Because that's about as mean as you can be on YouTube. You talk really loud and you use really nasty words. And they get up there and they're portraying themselves as this big tough person because they can get on YouTube and talk really loud and use really mean words. And it's like going to play on the playground and you've got the bullies that's shooing everybody off the merry-go-round. It's like, what are you, 7 years old? This has got to stop. The true crime community has gone to crap on a cracker. Jenny, that's it. All I can say is stay above the fray. That is it. Everyone that follows me, you all know. Keep your name clean when you come on here. Try to be a positive influence in the world. But I'm sorry, this evening, knowing that man was wide open on a channel that children could access, the things he was saying, and apparently this is not the first time. And apparently this is the culmination of apparently a couple of weeks of whatever they've been going through. You know something? I have a plea for all adults out there that have fixed themselves on the Summer Wells case, that have absolutely no desire to find Summer Wells. Please stop. Just walk away. You will not be missed. Just walk away. Please leave this little girl's case to people that care, to people that will handle it respectfully, to people that will not show up on the parents' property acting like a lunatic, threatening to harm people. As an ex-parole officer, I watched a video yesterday, and I'm assuming it was the same person. And as an ex-parole officer, I watched that, and it put me straight back into my career of going to the top of the mountains where you have no phone, you have no internet, you're alone as an officer. You're alone, and you know that these people have been holed up doing God knows what for a couple of days, and you've got to bust it up and separate them because they're not supposed to be together. And then you realize you have walked into a land of crazy that you have never been able to make up in your mind. I mean, you could never envision anything this bad. That's what I felt. It immediately triggered me back to going to some of the scariest home visits with some of the most violent, the most violent and absolutely. I mean, you couldn't understand mentally what was going through their mind enough to try to second guess their next behavior. You just had to be completely, you just had to be completely aware because you knew you were in danger. You knew you were in a bad place, and that's what I felt when I watched that video yesterday. And I didn't watch the whole thing because I clicked off of it. I didn't want to. But then when this came on this evening, apparently that's that same man. So it's starting to make sense to me now, and it's sad because I try to avoid this crap, and it's starting to make sense to me. How do adults turn a missing 5-year-old child case into this circus? How do people that are not hired, should honestly have no funds to do what they're doing, end up in the living room of the parents of the missing child? What kind of friendship is blossoming there? It should tell a whole lot of people a lot about the environment, because when this story broke, I did a little message to Don Wells saying, "Hey, if you want to be a different man, you can wake up every day and you can change." I believe that. But I'm not seeing the change. Well, guess what? I'm still not seeing any change. I'm still seeing somebody that's been in prison just enough to think he's a podfather, and when he comes out, he thinks he manipulates the hillside, and he barricades himself with stupid but loyal stupid people because they're expendable to him, and he doesn't change the dynamic. So he continually is getting in trouble or doing stupid things because of the people he surrounds himself with. And the people that are being used as to surround him, you're being used. You're being used because you're easy to manipulate and you're stupid and you're spring loaded. And he knows that he may not have to pop off. He can just let you, and then he won't go spend the night in jail. You will. You're being used. Everybody in that scenario is being used. Hello, wake up. Crap trickles downhill. Somebody's at the very bottom of the hill. Raise your hand. You know it's you. This is one reason why when I do address a story that's close to me, I don't talk about it a lot, because when you get a lot of attention on something, you you suck in the crazy people that want to feed off of the attention because they don't have it in their own life. So they got to get it from somewhere, so they will just siphon on and take it from anywhere, even a 5-year-old missing child story. What I saw yesterday was scary on that video. And I think I said the day before that I felt that that person that I had heard, that I felt he was potentially physically violent. Then I saw that video, which removed any question. And if that's the same man that was screaming on my TV before I got it turned off today, y'all, this story has gotten to a level of crazy to where it has turned into a magnet for people that have some pretty big issues. And I think the best thing that can be done for the Summer Wells case is for everybody to stop. Get up every morning, yes, pray for her, think of her, send out good vibes, but stop putting energy out on these platforms. Stop building these little groups and gangs of adults that are acting like they're 5 years old, case in their neighborhood. It's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Because the longer it goes on and the longer people have to milk it, the crazier the antics will become and the more loathsome and disrespectful the shenanigans will become, to where eventually no one will want to touch this precious little girl's case because they don't want to have to wade through the crap to get to the substance of the story anymore. It's not fair to Summer. It's not fair to Summer at all. Denise, I pray that the TBI is on something and that they have something. And I also hope that the local and state level officials are making this and paying attention to the people that are actively trying to, like, augment the case in some way. You know, there's a lot of charges that can be laid out for people that get in and try to play cop, try to play investigator. You know, I mean, just from the video that I watched yesterday, just from the video and the people's own statements, someone, one or two of them was convicted felons, and they were at the Wells property. One of the two men had been there for a while. Well, Don Wells is on supervision again. They have, they're not supposed to be around each other. There's already an issue brewing there for any probation or pre-trial officer that's got the gonads to do the warrant to bring that person back before the judge. And the sad thing is, Judge Denise, I tell everybody, stop watching. If you watch these crazy people, if you see them do the not interested, and I've clicked the not interested on my recommended so many times, and I avoid most creators. I avoid almost in everybody, anybody that has anything to say. I avoid anybody that gets to a place that I think is a little, off kilter. But I don't think I'd been in my craft room 15, 20 minutes. And I just turned my YouTube on and went to the first story, which was an update. And it was an actual news story update where people had trespassed, apparently. And it just played from there. And then the next thing I hear is this crazy lunatic screaming about the quality of some woman. And I'm like, what? This has to do with the Summer Wells story? And I mean, I could not get it turned off quick enough. And sad to say is, I think now I've seen this face 3 times. And the 3 times I've seen this face, it has evoked the same emotional response from me. Buddy, that's a problem. That's what I feel every time I see that face. And I kind of avoid the whole true crime thing. I try to, I don't mind to bring you stories, especially ones that interest me because they're in my backyard. Things that make me go, that doesn't smell right. We'll talk about it. But I am not a true crime person because the representation of what a true crime person is right now is a crazy lunatic. So I want no part of it. But I have been so dismayed in the behavior of adults regarding this story. Because in the back of my mind, I'm praying that this little girl is found by some miracle. She's found, and she gets to come back, and she gets to lead a life that will make her so happy she will forget all the bad things that ever happened to her. And then I sit there and I go, then she's going to know exactly how everyone took advantage of her. Even when she was missing and not physically present, adults still took advantage of her. And I'm sitting here going, there is no way that this little girl is ever going to have a life, just a life, because either something horrible happened to her, or she's going to come back and she's going to have to see how horribly people behaved when they had every option to do something great. Great, do something anonymously, charitable, that was gracious, but no, everyone went to the dark side and used it to self-serve. And I just think it's so sad that if by some miracle we get that little angel back, she'll see at some point the people that did some really horrible things. And how will that affect her? Even after all she's been through, she's still going to be affected by more crap. So you have to be very careful who you align with. Be very careful who you give your energy to. Be very careful who you support. That's why I hang alone, I stand alone, because if I say it, I want it to come back to me. And if anyone has a question, it comes directly back to me. And I'm not in a group of people wondering what they said that. Well, I'm in the group, but I don't represent that. Well, wait, hang on. No, it's just me. I stand alone. And I try to speak a little bit of wisdom. I try to pull from my law enforcement background, and I try to pull from my counseling background, and I try to say, hey, let's not allow people to manipulate us. But I have to say tonight, as an adult, as someone who knows the harm that the behavior that I've been witnessing on YouTube can cause, I am physically sick of the adults that are taking the lead roles in this and treating it as though it is their highway to millionaire status and fame. It is not. It is not. You are just sick enough, mentally, emotionally, to misuse the misfortune of a child for your personal gain. Because I sat down and tried to make a list of any good that these people had created, I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't think of anything. Sure, there might have been some flyers put up. Sure, Summer's name may be spoken by a lot of people, but why? Under what context? That holds a lot of sway when it's still an active investigation. Holds a lot of sway. Because when investigators see that they have to dig through this crap to accept this case and do something, they're like, no, I'm out. We'll just leave that to the cops. Because they have to. They have to maintain this investigation. Well, Denise, in many ways, they can't shut the circus down. What they have to do is kind of monitor, and when these people do stupid things, keep hitting them with charges for the stupid things until eventually they get too tired of going to court over stupidity, and they say I'm done with it, or they get a bigger enough charge to sit in jail for a while because they can't bail out and they have to be quiet. You know, America is the land of the free. That's free to be stupid too. I just would never have thought that adults would be this stupid, would be this viciously stupid. And I do think that Hawkins County should have handled things differently the other day. The little snippet of the video I saw, Hawkins County allowed those people to come in and basically do a presser. I'm sorry, why? Are you press? I don't think so. If Hawkins County had taken 5 minutes to get their names on their YouTube channels and gone back and just did a 5 minute scan through their content, they would have said, "Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. We don't believe that you're going to take this and do anything positive with it, so we're just going to choose to not waste our office's time." You know, they act like wherever they go, everybody should bow because they're going there and doing this big thing. What did you do? What did they do? They went, caused a scuffle in the middle of a road, caused a scuffle in a driveway, caused law enforcement that is already strewn thin in rural areas to have to come out and handle what should have been a non issue. And then the law enforcement standing amidst a bunch of convicted felons, one of which who was vocally stating he was staying there with Don Wells, which is an absolute violation of Don Wells' supervision and status as a convicted felon. You know, there's been a lot of oversights. Been a lot of oversights and a lot of if we just cross our fingers and pat them on the head, they'll stop. Eventually, they'll run out of steam. I don't think these people are going to run out of steam. Sadly, I think this is what they live for. Oh, that's it, Lottie Doll. But if you say certain words on the internet, you know you can be. They'll find you facial recognition on a satellite somewhere. But people that legit are causing problems every third day, causing scuffles in the middle of public roads and trespassing, and causing what should be violations of probation, they're not handled. I'm telling you, that's a big pet peeve of mine as well. No, a convicted felon, if you're a convicted felon, you are not to be around, spend time with any other convicted felon, unless you're family and you live together. That's it. I think it might be Rule 6. In Tennessee, I think it's Rule 6. But no, convicted felons are not supposed to be around convicted felons. And especially if one of them is on supervision, the one on supervision is told you may not be around any other convicted felons. So if Don Wells is on supervision, which from his charges that just happened with the DUI and stuff, I'm assuming he is, then he should not have another convicted felon in his home or spending time there, because the person that is spending time there is not a family member that resides there. Nope, that's the only out you get when it comes to convicted felons hanging around each other. He shouldn't be there. Per Tennessee supervision mandates, he shouldn't be there. And Don should be in trouble for allowing him to be there. But it's going to take that supervising officer to care enough to write that warrant, or to care enough to have that conversation and force whoever's supposed to leave to leave. That is Tennessee, because I was a Tennessee officer, so that is Tennessee regulations for supervision. It does change a little bit state to state, and that's why when someone is on supervision in one state and they are moving to another state, they go through the intercompact. It's called ICAOS. It's the intercompact offender supervision thing. It's so that, like, let's say Utah has this offender that wants to move to Tennessee. Utah will send all the paperwork to Tennessee. It will go to a ICOTS officer, which I used to be one. I will review Utah's specific request for supervision, and if there's something that Tennessee can't do, I'll kick it back and say, I'm sorry, Tennessee cannot do this, which may be a specific request of Utah. We may not have a class. We may not have the facility to offer something. We just may not be able to comply. And Utah will send back a packet and say, well, we can do these three things instead. Can you offer any of these three? And we can say, yes, this or this. And then so eventually Utah will flex their desires so that it can match what Tennessee can supervise for, and Tennessee will accept the Utah offender and supervise for Utah. And that will be an ICOTS state transfer offender. But for a straight Tennessee probationer, there are 14 rules on a probation order, only 12 for regular people, 14 if there are sex offenses that are involved. And a couple of those should have been brought up into concern yesterday, like having a contact with another offender, having another offender in your home while you're on supervision. And then there's also a whole other one down there. It's like 12 or 14 to not have any assaultive, abusive, or behavior. That whole video I saw was assaultive and abusive. And to be quite honest, if someone owns property and they're allowing that to happen there, then they're just as guilty. So I, as an officer, would take that film and do a warrant and take it to court and tell the judge, I can't trust him to not engage in the behavior, but I also can't trust him to not allow it to happen on his property. He obviously cannot follow the rules. You need to sanction him or let him do his time in the jail, because I can't supervise someone who is unwilling to follow the rules. But it takes a really good officer to do that. It takes a really good officer to say, I'm going to hold your nose to the grindstone because I want you to learn something and not be here again. Obviously, Don is not learning anything because he's been in trouble how many times? Obviously, the people he's surrounding himself with are not learning anything because they're just repeatedly doing the same stupidity. So why is it all these people are felons that are drawn to this case? Should that not concern us all a little bit? I mean, I'm the first person to say you can change. I've seen some people make some remarkable changes. And Betty, I love it when they change. I love it when they figure out they're a diamond and they ought to shine and they change their life and become a better person. But why is it they're all drawn to this? Because I'm not seeing anyone go like, hey, I've been there, bud, and I had to change my life. And if you want to change your life, here's a few things you can start doing too. Nobody's going there and making positive changes or speaking about positive changes. They're going there to revel in the lifestyle that is there. They're very comfortable there. They don't mind being there. It doesn't make them uncomfortable to be around things that probably trigger them to old memories or old lifestyle ways. Either that or they're still living that way too, and so they're comfortable regardless. Not saying anything about anybody, but these are all options. But is it not funny that like 7 out of the 10 people I have identified, y'all are telling me you're all convicts? And I've known some fine convicts that have changed their lives and become fine people and done great things and great work and turned around and helped a lot of people not fall down the freaking holes they fell down 4 or 5 times. I'm just not seeing any positive interactions saying, hey, dude, let's start making some small changes to your lifestyle so that we can stop having these repeated issues, and we can stop having people wait for you to make another mistake. Let's have people wait for you to do something positive. It's a much better experience. Let's make some changes. Getting arrested and getting so upset that you drive yourself to drink and get in trouble, and that's it's getting old, isn't it, brother? Let's work on not doing it. Let's work on creating a different lifestyle. Let's work on getting away from allowing our emotions to dictate our world. Bad things have happened, buddy. I know you've gone through a lot. Let's start leaning toward the positive side of life. And even though we've had some bad stuff thrown our way, we can still find some positive things. And let's show people we're looking for positive, and we're going to create some positive, and we're going to do some positive. Is anybody seeing that? No. What we're seeing is people going there going, man, I know how you feel. Let me sit with you in your home where I should feel completely uncomfortable because I know I'm not supposed to be there. And let me never say or do anything that could lead you to a more positive life, but let me get all the views, clicks, and likes and super chats possible. That tells me that their heart's not in it, or they're still in the lifestyle and just want the money, and they're playing the scheme. Do I know these people from Adam? Heck no. This is just as an officer and somebody that has worked in counseling and worked with people that have trauma backgrounds and addiction backgrounds. These are the options you get most of the time with people that flock to these types of scenarios. I beg everyone to go to tn.gov and look up probation supervision requirements. There are 14 rules altogether. 2 of them are specific to sex offenders, so you can mark those out for anyone that's not a sex offender. But they're pretty blatant. Don't break, don't violate any more state laws. Um, whether it's in the state of your residence or not, don't cross state lines. Um, you have to be home every night and have your home approved by your officer. You can't just live anywhere; it has to be an approved home. If you've got any kind of DUI in your past, you may not drink. If you don't have a DUI or any kind of like that in your past, then you can drink, but you cannot be drunk. If you get a public intoxication or anything like that, it is a charge. You have to submit to drug screens. If you say no to a drug screen, then if you do not submit, it is basically a positive screen. So it's always your best interest to submit to your drug screens, even if you're going to blow them wide open. Submit to your drug screens. Otherwise, it's going to be a positive screen anyway. Don't go anywhere where the prime and purpose is to sell alcoholic beverages, or like adult oriented items. Stay away from places like that. You have to have a travel permit to leave your home, even for one night. Um, some travel permits require the supervising officer's signature. Others require the judge's signature as well. And if you're going to travel with your travel permit, you have to go wherever you go to. You have to check in with law enforcement there and have them sign your travel permit to prove that that's where you went and that you made contact as instructed. You can't have any violent or aggressive behavior. If you have any kind of domestic issues or any kind of violent charges, it's an immediate warrant. You will be held with no bond. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. And most of the rules are like 2 or 3 sentences. So they're like little mini paragraphs. And they're very specific. So, these people that have been on supervision, they've had people read this to them, go through it over and over and over again. They know what they're doing, and they know what they're not supposed to be doing. You have to have a valid reason to travel. You cannot cross state lines without permission. It depends on what level of supervision you're on, how far you can travel. Like most officers will say, if you just make a day trip and come back, as long as you're home by the end of the night, you don't cross state lines, it's fine. Some officers that are supervising people that are a little bit more dangerous say if you're going to go more than an hour and a half away from home, you need to have a travel permit in your hand. You need to come to me 2 or 3 days before and tell me why you need to travel, and I will discern. And if I give it to you, then you may travel, and if not, it's the end of it. But they cannot cross state lines, and they cannot stay anywhere overnight without a permit. And that's just it. End of story. Sex offenders can't travel without the judge's permission and a special permit signed by the judge. Um, there are a lot of rules that I sit back here and I watch these people going all willy nilly, and I hear them say, I'm a convicted felon, or and I wonder if they're on supervision. I wonder if they're supposed to be doing this. I wonder if they understand the position they could be putting themselves in, let alone anyone else they're having contact with. And then I sit here and I worry about Don Wells, because all he's doing is compounding his issues if he is actively on supervision from that DUI that he got, which it seems like he's being supervised for something, whether it's pretrial or I don't know. He's being supervised for something. And he's got convicted felons just showing up out of state at his home and staying. Hello, supervising officer, judge. A lot of this chicanery could be stopped by just someone going, we have rules, and you're supposed to follow them. Yeah, it's irritating to know that there are so many rules and that a good officer can really structure someone's life to create a more positive environment, and it just kind of gets them into a more positive headspace. But if you have officers that do not try to actually supervise these people and teach them a better path, then these people just simply learn how to duck and dive until they're off paper again. So nobody learns anything positive. Honeybee, you asked a good question. If they're an SA and have served their time, are they allowed to travel out of state without calling the state they're going to? There's a couple of things there. They could do their time in jail and come out and still be on supervision. They could have supervision for life. They could have community supervision for life. But the thing is if they register as a sex offender, then most of the time it's lifetime registration. So wherever they live has to be reported to the state. If they want to travel, they'll always have to go to the sheriff's department and let somebody know they're traveling. They can't be away from their home overnight without someone knowing where they are. If they're supervised to want to travel, they have to get the sign off of a judge or an officer. So, just because they've done their time in jail and they come out, they're still normally 9 times out of 10 they're still registering to the state, responsible to their local sheriff that keeps the file on them, and they still have boundaries. They still have things that they have to do because they're dangerous. They're a danger in the community. So a sex offender in jail, even though they come out and they've done their time, if they have lifetime registration, they're always going to be monitored. It's like community supervision for life. They're always going to be monitored. Or they could come out of jail with 10 more years of probation, which is active supervision, which means they have an officer assigned to them that will know their every move. So there's really not a way for anyone that is a sex offender to be like unencumbered in any way. Now, there is in Tennessee there is a little clause that states if you have successfully flattened your time and done 15 years of supervision without any issues, you can appeal the lifetime supervision status so that you can stop registering and go back and be a normal member of society. I can't say that I've ever seen it done. I've seen it requested maybe twice, but I've never seen it approved. So, there's so much information, and that's why it's so important for just communities. Go and see a criminal court date. Go and see a misdemeanor court date. Go and see how this system works. Go and understand the small laws that trip a lot of people up. Ask for a voided copy of a probation order from one of the officers there at the court so that you can familiarize yourself with what people on supervision have to follow. So that if you have someone in your neighborhood that is on supervision and you see them blatantly doing something to violate Rule 4 or 7 or 12, then you can call it in and you know what you're talking about. I mean, it's sad to have to understand that side of the world, but if it's going to help you structure your area to be safe, it would be a great thing for everyone to do. Well, Gypsy Girl, a lot of people do seem to fly under the radar. It's because rather than getting good at following the rules, because a good officer is restructuring their life, they simply get good at ducking. And when I saw somebody that was good at ducking, I literally implanted myself upon their hind end, and I was just part of them for however long I had them on supervision because I was not going to allow that to happen. Because I was responsible to those people. The state had entrusted them to me to monitor, to keep the community safe, but to keep them safe as well, and to hopefully revamp, their lifestyle to where they were a productive and positive member of society. That's a big job. That was somebody saying, hey, this person cannot structure their own life to be positive. Can you help them do it? That was a big thing for me. That was my goal, was to have them in 3 or 4 years' time turn around and go, wow, I can function in society. People see me and want to shake my hand. I've got a job. I'm paying my bills. I feel better about myself. But most officers go, I have the power to destroy them if I want it. Well, yeah, you have that power too. But for me, if you only use the power to destroy them and you sit on your haunches and never use the power to help them better their life, you're a pretty sorry officer. Because there's two sides to that coin that you have to do as an officer. You wish I was planning on Dawn. I wish that Dawn had somebody that was making contact with his common sense and sensibility. I see Don play the channel. He plays the channels. Whatever environment he's in, he switches to that channel and tries to get away with it. But he's got kids to raise. He's in a pickle. And if he wants to be that better person that he whines and cries about and sniffles about in public, and he wants to be that man of God that's changed and bettered himself, there's a whole bunch of people that would love to help him start making better decisions, start learning how to just change his cognition and look at the world a little differently so that he starts to understand things from a different perspective. But he doesn't want to do it. He wants to talk about it, but the physical actions are just a bit much. And it's because he doesn't have anyone applying the pressure that could be applied. And he's in a perfect position to have just enough pressure applied to say you're going to have to at least go through the motions. And if you can get him to go through the motions, if he's got any common sense, which I think he does, To have gotten away with as much as he's gotten away with, you have to have some kind of level of intelligence. If they could get him into those programs and make him have to sit there long enough to go through the motions, eventually the motions get kind of stuck to you. And then when you start following the motions, you start thinking about why you're following the motions. And then it all starts to link up. And then you start kind of revisiting in your mind the better decisions you could have made and how it may have changed your life. And he just needs to be brought around to that way of thinking. And it needs to be done in a manner to where it's going to be done almost unconsciously. And a good officer could do that with the right structure and the right tools. A good officer could do that. Oh yeah, Denise. The judges have told him that's put a gag order on him and all this stuff, and he still just, I mean, he just makes a mockery of it all. Makes a mockery of it all, and then fills his home with other people that make a mockery of it and everything else. I just can't believe we know that there are two boys going to grow up to be young men that's going to go back and see all of this, and I hope they certainly do not look at the people that have come on and use their family as fodder. I hope those boys don't look at those vicious and violent men that I've seen on YouTube and think that they're role models in any way, because they're not. That's my fear, is that those little boys are still going to be lost and not have the role models they need to fulfill a change in their lives, to really to create to create two upstanding young men that will want a better life because they have felt what the worst one's like. But I'm afraid they're going to go on all this social media and see all these stupid people and glorify these stupid men that are out there acting like they're part of a brat patrol when they're goddamn 40 and 50 years old. I don't want them to think that that's how men behave. That is not how a man behaves. But then I also worry about Summer. If lo and behold she is somewhere and is going to be returned to us, look at what she's going to have to go through. That 5-year-old is going to internalize that and go, gee, the first thing people thought about when they thought about trying to find me was being mad at each other. And then men began talking sexually and violently about women and disrespecting the women. And is this what I create? Is this what me as a little girl creates? Why didn't it create a positive bunch of people that wanted to show love and come together and pray and sing hymns and just bring a positive sound to the hills rather than a bullhorn and a bad attitude? Kids internalize everything. Everything, anything a kid goes through, that kid inherently thinks they created. So all you adults being jackasses and causing all this drama, if those kids get even an inkling of it, they're going to think they caused it. And they're going to be wondering why their little life that is up in the clouds and making no sense whatsoever constantly causes negative, nasty people to flock to them. I don't want those kids thinking that's all they're worth. Somebody needs to step up and say they're beautiful and we care enough to come together once a week to make a beautiful noise, to sing a couple of hymns and say a couple of words. And no, it may not help catch anybody, and it may not bring anybody to justice, but it might give those kids another focus to see a group of adults doing something other than talking about sex, violence, drugs, and their desire to harm each other because they're getting more YouTube traffic. Every kid, whether they grow up in a trauma environment or not, every kid, if something bad happens, in that child's life, that child will internalize it. They will put the blame on their head because they're a child. That's all they know to do is put the blame on their head. And so you've got to wonder what these kids are going to be wading through over the next 3 to 7 years. Just with what I've seen adults put on the internet, I I I fear for them and their emotional stability. But we've got a lot of things. We need to do a lot of positive things. Maybe it's something that we all one day a week or one night a week can come on and just say positive things. With all the negative things going on about the case, just say positive things. Just say that, just so that if they stumble upon it, in older years, they at least have one account of someone attaching them and their thought process of those kids as a positive thing. Maybe it's something, yeah, maybe we just need to say a prayer and just say a few positive things. Maybe it's something I need to start and role model so that other people will do. I have absolutely no problem doing that. And through the week, write down things that trigger my thoughts toward those kids and put it out there. Never put a name with it, never identify them. Just do a little blurb video, and if they're meant to know it's them, that's great, and if not, that's fine too, because if it's meant to be a blessing, it will bless someone. And I hope that they completely never go to the internet and know how toxic it is. But also, part of me goes, well, if they're gonna go to the internet, let me try to counterbalance and put something positive on there. But I was absolutely in awe, and almost it when you work the jobs I've worked, you click to a place where you puff up like a toad frog and become very very prepared for violence quickly because it's incoming. I've been in places to where you have to, in the blink of an eye, be prepared to physically defend your life. I've had bad jobs, when you supervise violent offenders, you put yourself in positions to where you have to be prepared. And it's not a good feeling to have to puff up like that and know that you may have to defend your life. And I never go there because I'm so well trained to stay calm. But as I was trying to get through my craft room and through my hallway to the remote control to stop this stupid, stupid man's tirade, I noticed that my body had already puffed up to attack mode. And it bothered me because, as calm as I am, and as adamant as I am about staying calm, if he had that reaction from me, he must, he's worked at this, he's finessed it. Imagine the responses he gets from everyone else. And I'm trained to avoid going there unless my life is in danger. But I was puffed up, mad, and marching with intention to find that remote. I was mad. So if he could get that reaction out of me, now luckily I didn't act upon it. I checked myself and was like, nope, just shut this man up, walk away. But imagine if he can get that out of me, what he gets out of the hundreds of thousands that probably monitor his crap. Is that not scary? That's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Thank you for throwing up my links to me, so I appreciate that. Now I've got all my snot running again. I was getting so snot free, and now all my snot's running again. I don't know. I was so frustrated. I just thought, I'm going to come on here and talk about this. Because I normally try to, like, calm down and only show you the me after I've gone through my steps. And as you can tell, I'm calming down now, and I'm much calmer than when I got on here. But sometimes you just need to listen to somebody go through the motions and talk about things. And I just felt the need to address what I saw immediately. And I'm going to be somebody from now on, when I see this negative behavior, I'm going to call them out and be like, this is deplorable to see an adult take advantage of a 5-year-old missing child's case so that they can create this environment for self-satisfaction, which is obviously of a negative manner. And I'm just going to start leaving those little comments in all these nasty videos. And I know that 9 times out of 10 they will not see them because they've got so many people blowing smoke. But on the off chance one person sees it, it makes them think. Because, like I've said before, this little box is intoxicating. YouTube is intoxicating. And you get all those people puffing you up. And no matter how horrible the thing is you're doing, you start thinking it's right. I think that's what's going on with a lot of these people. You know, some people just keep filling their emotional gas tank and they just keep driving off a cliff because it must be right because it's getting the gas tank filled up, right, man? Hey, Priscilla, I'm whining. I'm on my soapbox again. I I'm never this is a promise. I'm never going to turn on my YouTube and let it play over the house ever again, because every time it happens and it goes through a recommended, I end up finding out that there are people in the world that even the devil would not accept in hell. I mean, that's just how I felt today. So I'm gonna start. We'll start doing that during the weekends. We'll start picking a weekend, one of the days, and I'll just do a little positive blurb, a little positive thought pattern for everyone involved in the case. I will name no names. I will just send out positive energy and positive words, and I'll try to role model positive adult behavior, because I'm an adult that understands that I am limited in my capacity to do anything in this case because of it is an active and ongoing investigation, and I respect the law. I also understand that if I try to take things too far, it may harm the little lives that are still growing, and we'll have to process this later as they mature. So I'm going to hold myself accountable as an adult, and I'm only going to role model positive energy and behavior to counterbalance, hopefully, some of the negative they may run across should they seek to filter through this internet. And so the one thing that I'm going to promise is that I'm hopefully going to be the one positive voice they hear if they happen to stumble across me. And if they don't, then I have no doubt that someone that needs a positive voice that day will stumble across me. Priscilla, it's just something I'm going to do over the internet, but if you want to join me on a stream, that's fine. It's going to be no names, no nothing. It's just going to be positive energy, positive vibes, positive thoughts. Quote something that brings you happiness or makes you feel good. I want people to be better. But when there are children involved and so many eyes on a case like this, I'm going to try to put myself in just a place where I demand people to be better, because I am so not okay with what I've been witnessing the last couple of weeks in this case and the behavior. And no, I don't know these creators, and I don't want to know these creators, and that's why I don't mix with these creators, is because I don't trust people to tie themselves to me and for me to have to then be responsible for any behavior they may pull out of their hat. That's why I'm kind of the lone wolf. I am me, and if I say something stupid, then I said it. You can come back to me and deal with me because I said it. You don't have to sift through 5 or 6 people to see who will take accountability. But I said it. I'll take accountability for it. So that's kind of why I'm a lone wolf. But I also have not befriended a lot of these people because I don't see anything worth befriending, and that's sad to think that the entire world has this platform where we can all find great people and we can't find people worth befriending. That's sad. Annette, honey, it's okay. I'm on a soapbox again today. I'm calmed down now and I'm better, but I had something impact me, and I know it impacts you all sometimes the same way. So I wanted to show you all how it was impacting me and address it and walk myself through it and talk myself down through it. And I needed to do it. I cried and got my snot going again, but I needed to do it. It was important for me to share. This is normally how most adults stop, think, make sense, and talk themselves down before they really do something stupid. And I don't see any other adults that incorporate these steps into their life very, very, very much anymore. And it terrifies me. A lot of them were all absolutely frustrated. Oh, Priscilla, go take you another nap. I know, bless your heart, you've been so sick. Go snore all you want. I check on you and make sure you're still kicking, but I'm just waiting for you to feel better. What I saw this afternoon, if you rewind and watch, it just hit me the wrong way. And I just want to put out an accountability call to all adults. Please behave in a manner that if your child, grandchild saw what you put on the internet, they could go, that's my family member. I'm so proud that they handled themselves like that. Please think when you put something on the internet about the other people that may see it. Please think about people that you may hurt, not even giving a thought to it, but that it could hurt. Please understand that you are responsible for what you put on the internet, how you put it on the internet, how you come across, how you display yourself. And please try to do better. I have met all of about 2 people that I would have wanted to have sat down with my children where they were tiny. On the entire internet, I've met all of about 2 people. One of them's in this stream that I would trust to meet my children when they were tiny. This is an infinite source of meeting people, and I have met all of about 2 people that I would trust. Gee, we're doing something wrong with the internet, people. Yep, the internet is forever and ever, Lottie Dot. Absolutely. Priscilla, I will. I'll call you when I get done. But this should be a reflection of our best. I mean, you should think about how you present yourself and what you're presenting and what you're doing and how people are going to feel about it when they run across it later. It should be your ability to just really just think about presenting your best and putting something on the internet that is going to be a positive and impactful thing for years to come. And I just feel like everybody, if everybody is putting their best on the internet right now, then their best is absolute trash because it's a dumpster fire right now. Okay, Denise, WVLT. They also did the update about was it WVLT or WATE? One of them did an update about trespassing charges being filed by Candace. And I only saw that because it actually was on my local news. I was like, oh, hey, we have news in the Summer Wells case. And it was not good news. So, well, that's all I wanted to say. I'm working on, I did have a little gnome that someone wanted made. And I'm trying to hand make some specific little tools that need to go with him. And I'm that's a frustrating part because it has to do with very small pieces of tinfoil and hot glue, and all I'm doing is burning my fingers repeatedly. So it's something, yes, WJHL, that was it, let it off. So I've just been trying to get the little items that are specialty items done tonight, and then tomorrow we're making the gnome. So I've got all the specifics, and I'm making all the small stuff tonight, and tomorrow evening we will be making the gnome. So it is a plumber gnome, so it's going to be super fun. And I'm super thankful for the lady that reached out and wanted this to be done, and so we're gonna do it live together. The most of it, I'm gonna do the majority of it tomorrow live. So tomorrow evening is going to be a special evening. So get your hot cocoa or your dinner and snuggle in and watch me completely obliterate my fingers with a hot glue gun. But we're going to make a plumber gnome. And it will be my first plumber gnome, and we're going to make it fun. And we're going to have a fun night, because tonight was not a fun night. I was going to come on and have a chit chat anyway, but then when Mass started playing, and I was digging for what was I digging for? I was digging for, it wasn't aluminum foil. It was actually little pieces of metal that you like put in resin and epoxy to make them like glitter. I was looking for that to put in the channel locks that I'm making for this little plumber gnome, when I started hearing all that nastiness come from YouTube on my TV. I could not get out of my craft room and my hallway quick enough, because I was home alone and I was embarrassed for what was being said to be said in my house. That's how bad it was. So this little gnome, though, he's gonna have a oh, you make felt. Okay, I want to know how you make the felt gnome wine toppers. Yes, Lottie Doll, you must show me how to do that. This little guy is going to have the real leather hat and the really posh yarn beard, and I'm hand making the little tools tonight. So that's what I've been doing tonight, digging for everything I need to get, because I have to use glue, aluminum foil, and those little pieces of metal to make little channel locks. We'll see how talented I am. Tomorrow, whatever they turn out looking like, you will see how talented I am. Well, I'm glad you're getting a break, Priscilla, because you've been super sick. I know, because I know how sick I was when I had that, and you've had more respiration, snot issues, chest issues than I have. So, and it was bad here, so I know it must be horrible there. Everyone's been sick. That makes everybody more easily frustrated too. I understand that. Um, but it just caught me off guard. It just caught me. It caught me and made me absolutely state that nope, there. I have to address this and deal with this now. I heard this. I want to immediately get on here and address this, because I wanted you all to know, when I hear something that I think needs to immediately be addressed, I will pop on here and I will immediately address it. But this whole I'm bigger than you. I have more views than you. I can go to more places I'm not supposed to be than you. I'm getting really irritated with what passes for an adult on YouTube here lately. I'm getting really irritated with the bullying complex that's going on YouTube. I don't bother anybody. I do my own thing, and I'm not so pig-headed to think that my world impacts your world, and I should have some control over your world. No, I'm just doing my thing. But I also feel terrible for the people that have been victims emotionally, mentally, of these people. because now since I've heard one tirade, I just heard one. I couldn't imagine having to go through more than 5 minutes of that. Honeybee, I've been so sick. I was so sick with that creepy crud, and it took me like 2 weeks to get over that. I still sound super snotty. I'm sorry. Um, Perfect sermon for your work week. Well, good. I'm glad it found its landing spot somewhere. I just think if we don't start to speak out to these group of people and say this is not okay, we don't appreciate this, you're turning this into something it doesn't need to be. If we would just start saying that, Baby goes, "Oh, I'm scared to say it to him." Why? Because they can get on YouTube and talk really loud. You don't have to be nasty about it. I was quite respectful in the way I stated my displeasure. But if they don't ever hear that some people are not enjoying this, that it's rubbing people the wrong way, and they don't feel that they're respecting the case, they're just going to keep gaining speed until they go over the cliff. I don't know why people have stopped realizing that they have the complete freedom to stand up and say, "I'm sorry, I don't see things that way, and I feel that you're being super disrespectful, and I would like for you to rethink how you're portraying yourself around this event." There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You used to be able to have a dialogue in this nation. You used to be able to have a debate. You used to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not very happy about the way you're presenting yourself to people that I care about, or people that are younger than me, that look up to this platform and try to find people to follow. You need to think about how you're presenting yourself and who is getting this information from you, because you could be harming some people." Oh, I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about, Priscilla. And I never had the voice. I'd only seen like snaps, and then heard like replays. But apparently he was live, and it kicked over to that video on my recommended when I was in my craft room, and I could not stop my TV quick enough. It was the filthiest talk I'd ever heard in my life, and I supervised convicted felons for a decade, so let that sink in. It was the nastiest talk I'd ever heard in my life. So I just want people to understand that as a collective of people, we do have power. We do have power, and we don't have to use that power in negative, nasty, harmful ways. We just have to be that voice of reason, that little constant peck, that little constant knock at the door that says, "I'm not okay with this." You may have 10,000 people wrangled into this, but I want you to know I am one that is saying this is not right. And it may not ever do anything, but I tell you what it will do. When I stand before God, He will know I spoke up. And that may not be important to some of you, but it's very important to me. But if you have the discernment of an adult and you have a good heart, start using them, because our world is in dire need of people that have both. And there are times when you do have to get a little angry and a little hostile. But by far, consistent honesty and respectful discord, it will eventually bounce off of somebody long enough that part of it will stick. And they will start to rethink their behavior. May not be today, may not be next year. It may be when they're on their deathbed going back through what they would have changed. But I would rather put that possibility out there for somebody than to never have said it. I'm losing my voice now because I've cried and I'm starting to get snotty, and so I'm gonna have to save my voice up for tomorrow night. But I most certainly will put together something positive, some poetry, anything that I run across that's positive that makes me think about any kid that's in a bad position or going through a bad encounter somewhere. I will put together something positive to read or share this weekend, and I will just start doing that once a week, one day on the weekend when everything's a little bit calmer for everybody. And I'll try to do it in StreamYard. And if you have something that you would like to share, once again, we're no names. We're not sharing any names. We're not identifying any minors or anything. If you just have something positive, positive words that may touch children that are in a bad position, or you just want to put positive vibes out there or share song lyrics or poetry or Bible verses that keep you positive, then you're welcome to join in and ask to be brought in, and I will give you a link to come in and share as well. I just ask that we have no names and we don't identify any minors because, I'm all about protecting. If they're meant to hear it, they'll hear it and they'll know it was meant for them. But I definitely think that is something I'm going to start doing to keep the positivity going and to role model adult behavior for all these other adults that apparently have never seen adult behavior. And y'all know that doesn't mean you have a life without fun, without laugh. I have days where I'm tacky as crap. Y'all know that. It doesn't mean that your life's all serious. It just means that you know how and when to be appropriate and how to think things through. And that's something that I wish I saw more adults do. Okay, well, I'm going to go finish my Plumber Gnomes tools and get everything laid out for tomorrow evening's broadcast. And anyone that's checking on Erlene did get her eyelashes. I did post pictures of Erlene in the community page. Erlene has dried. I have combed her and took the glue strings off of her. And she is fixing to be wrapped and put under the tree. I have to remind her that she's not a dog toy. Actually, I think I have to really look at Oscar and say it's not a dog toy because he really thinks every present under the tree is his. And don't tell Oscar, but I saw him the other day when YouTube went to commercial. It went to the bark box, the Rudolph bark box. I can talk. And Oscar was just immediately infatuated with the bark box that had the abominable snowman. And so I went and I ordered him the one-time bark box of the Rudolph stuff. And it will be here in time for Christmas. But he's already looking at his stocking and he knows it's empty. And he's like, why? Why is my stocking empty? Gypsy Girl, I didn't put any udders on her. And I thought about it, and the pink I had was just too pink. And I was afraid people would try to make it into something it wasn't. So I opted to not put udders on her, but also because my daughter-in-law has siblings that are very much younger than her, and I didn't want there to be like any issues there. So I was like, we just will not do that. But I did put her eyelashes on her, and I did kind of wrap up and give her a haircut, and I thought she turned out really cute. Considering that I started, I was going to make a palm ornament and ended up making a cow. Hey, you never know what you're going to get when you watch my channel. I should, in the next 3 or 4 days, have everything in I need to do the first of the trays, and it will be like a multi-day process when I do those, and you all will go along with me. So we've got a lot of stuff lining up, and now that I am healthier and doing more, we'll be able to get through it rather quickly, I believe. So everything's getting back on track. I just, I've gone through on my recommended. The first thing I did was do not interested, not interested, and I'm trying to block a lot of the drama because I know that I want to come on here and be like 95% positive because it's Christmas and we're all blessed to have found each other, and we're trying to make a good experience out of what has been kind of a crummy year. And so I want to be positive. So I went through and blocked a bunch of stuff and was like, not interested, block user, block user. And I don't like to do that a lot, but in this case, I know there's nothing I want to hear from them. So I was confident in pushing those buttons. And I just want to do fun, positive, happy things through Christmas. We might have to have some serious conversations, but that doesn't mean it has to ruin the rest of the year. We can turn around and do something fun the next night. And I want to do more fun stuff because it's freaking Christmas, y'all. And, I'm doing an absolutely basically no money Christmas. We're making all the gifts this year. That's how our family rolls. The only thing I'm buying for is the dogs because they have to have dog safe toys. So I bought for Oscar, Chaytak, and Nala. Those are my grand dogs. And that's the only gifts that have been bought this year. Everything else is being handmade. And so we come together, do handmade gifts, and have a big dinner and just literally like play Monopoly or do something to make us laugh. And that's kind of how my family rolls. And we're just very simple people, but we're very happy. I think it's because we are very simple. So I just wanted to share kind of what Christmas is at my house because my kids, now that they're grown adults, they've confirmed that the Christmases they liked more was the Christmases where we had less. We did handmade gifts. They got more emotionally from those family events. And that makes me happy to know I did something right. We bought the presents up until, teenage years, and then we kind of transitioned it to where it had a different meaning. And so now that I'm getting that confirmation back from my grown adult children, and my son's wife is also saying this is a much different environment than I was raised in. I really like it. And my daughter's fiance is joining us for the first time this year. I'm getting really good responses. So I think I did something right for my kids. And I know that there are a lot of people that are struggling to have positive ends of the year. And so I just want to be on here and help try to offer that. Oscar's a very lucky lot at all. He's spoiled rotten. Honeybee, I am really feeling a lot better. I just got upset and my snot started flowing. I will evacuate it here in a moment and feel much better. I appreciate you spending your evenings with me. I hate that I had to be it had to be one of those, but it's also very important that I be honest and authentic with you all and show you how I work through things and show you my thought process. I don't just miraculously end up with my thoughts and my motivation. It's a work in progress, and I think it's important to share that work in progress. And I wanted you all to see how I handle that and how frustrated I was from the beginning. So it's important that we all understand we have to work through things. And I just want to see more adults act like adults and learn to have a better process before they go online, say things, interact so poorly, or defame people. I want to see better representations of the older clan. It's really what I want to see. But let me go and work on my plumber's tools. That little gnome he's gonna have his tools in his hands. I'll get all that ready, and we will be back here tomorrow to make Mr. Plumber Gnome. Well, my nose is so stopped up I can't say that. Plumber Gnome. I think that's going to be one of the cutest things I've probably made all year. I'm excited to see how he ends up because you all know it's a journey. I don't have any idea. I have an idea of what I want him to look like, but I have no idea what he will end up looking like. That's always the fun part for me, and I'm sure it is for you guys as well. I've got my kitchen table absolutely stacked full of anything I may possibly need because I have several ideas of where things may go, so I want to have everything ready. My husband seriously thought today that I was like trying to destroy the kitchen, which I wasn't. I was just trying to have everything in arm's reach. Um, but I promised him I would clean it up when I got done. So tomorrow evening is going to be a very fun event. I want everybody to come back, have some hot cocoa with you, have some brownies or some ice cream or some cobbler or something. Sit down and watch me burn my fingers off with hot glue. And of course, I'll tell you stories as I work. And we'll just have a really good, positive evening together. And we will make the very first plumber gnome that I've ever made in my life. And it will be fun. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to do something positive, and I'm going to let Oscar go out and play, and I'm going to finish getting my stuff together, and I'm going to end my evening on a positive note. That's what I want you all to do as well. Find something that makes you laugh before you go to bed so that you end your night on a positive note. Either watch your favorite comedian, watch your favorite channel, watch a snippet of a favorite Christmas movie, do something positive that changes the vibe. I think I just kind of created a bad vibe, and I apologize for that. But do something to make you smile before you go to bed, and remember that no matter how bad things are, we're all still sitting here every night talking to each other. So, something that's a positive, that's a blessing. And I'll take it. I think we have a great family here, and I appreciate you all. And I know that if I continue to find people like you, then I know that the changes I want to see in the world will eventually come to be. We just got to keep working and keep finding more people like us. Okay, I'm gonna go blow my nose and get everything ready for tomorrow. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Mama is out.